Hi everyone, welcome to a live lesson with me, Matt Stead. And in this one we're going to look at the absolute ukulele classic, Pat Ballard's Mr Sandman, which I'm super excited about. Welcome everyone. Don't worry if it's a bit jumpy or laggy at the start. This video always settles down after a few minutes. So if I'm a little bit glitchy at the moment, don't panic. Stick with it. It will settle down soon. So yeah, so say we're gonna look at the absolute classic Mr Sandman. We're gonna look at that lovely introduction. I'm gonna teach you the finger picking part, which is great fun. We're gonna look at bar chords, dipping. We might even get around to some drop thumb triplets. All this fun goodness. And at the end of it, you'll have a whole arrangement that you can play along. I'm going to bring the arrangement up on screen as much as possible, but the worksheets are available to download. Links are in the description. It's £5 for the normal sheets, or if anyone's feeling super generous, you can send a tip with the £8 version. And thank you so much to everyone that's supported me one way or another. It's really helpful. If you can't afford the sheets, just send me an email and I'll send you a link to a free download. And the £8 sheets, if anyone is kind enough to do it, it helps those that can't afford it, which is super important. I think especially at the moment, cost of living crisis and everything, it's a bit mad, isn't it? So, as I say, links are in the description. And with this one, I think it would be a really nice idea to have a high G on this one. It means we can hit these lovely high notes on this G string, and it means we can play a particular finger picking shape, which is going to be really helpful in the intro. Apart from the intro, you'll be absolutely fine with either high G and low G, and I'm going to give you a workaround for low G players, so don't panic if you've only got a low G ukulele. It's absolutely fine. All right, hi Karen, hope you're doing well. Hi guys. Just a quick reminder as well that we're still in the kind of bank holiday periods at the moment. We've got 3, I think, this month in May, which is quite unusual in the UK. The one coming up is because it's the King's coronation this weekend. Hi Amanda, hi Phyllis. So we're not going to be here for our normal Canicapila Monday this Monday. So it feels like ages, doesn't it, already? And we've got another week, but we will be back the week after. Oh, hi Peter. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've been looking for some butterflies. Good sunshine for it today. Hi Rita. Cool. No worries. You can always come back to it later, Rita. No problem. Hi James. Hi Lisa. Great to see you all. Fantastic. Okay, I'll take some of these off screen moment because you can't see me. I'm like hidden behind all these messages. But welcome everyone. So yeah, we'll be back with our regular Monday Canicapila soon. And just remember, these Wednesday live afternoons are every other Wednesday, so every fortnight we have something new for you to learn. And if you visit my website, mattsteadukulele.com, you can see all of the old ones listed as well as all my sequential courses and everything. So loads of good stuff on there. Check it out. Okay, so I'm the same, Esther. I'm going to stop saying hello now, otherwise I'll be saying hello to the end of the video. If there's any new people, you're all welcome. Let's have a look at our sheets. Now, before we get into the actual physics of the tablature, if you have a look at your final sheet, I'll bring it up on screen. There's a really big circle of fifths, and I wanted to show you something with this because this song, I think especially, is really interesting. It always takes me a while to get this to settle on screen. It's like my worksheets have a life of their own. Okay, let's see. There we go. There's the pieces, and this is what you'll get in your worksheets if you haven't already downloaded them. This is the one I really wanted to take a look at. Now, this is called the circle of fifths. Now, if you've never seen it, people get kind of a bit can't think of a word, kind of, I guess, a bit intimidated by music theory and what the circle of fifths is. But it's a really super useful tool for looking at chordal arrangements of songs. So many songwriters and composers over the years have used this circle of fifths to put chords in a certain order in songs. It helps us predict what's coming up and it helps us to understand it. So it's really useful. So what is the circle of fifths? Well, it's quite simply that all the notes that you can play in the Western world going around in a clock, clockwise or anti-clockwise, and every time you go clockwise around the circle of fifths, you are going up a fifth. What is a fifth? That just means a note that's 5 above the one before it. Weirdly, when we talk fifths, it's not 5 movements. We include the note we count from. So C, D, E, F, G is a fifth, right? I'm actually going to bring this up on the screen with my other app so I can draw on it. So hopefully you guys are seeing this and you can see my my screen, which I can write on now. Now if I just show you here a second, this is where wonders mod technology. They're great when they work. Hopefully this works. Let's have a look. This C chord to this G, we can think of it as a note or a C, is a fifth because we have C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's all it means. If we go from G to D, for instance, G, A, B, C, D, D is 5 above the G. And that's all it means, guys. So I'm just going to delete that so I haven't got scribbles all over it for later on. So every time we go around the circle of fifths, we're going up a fifth. Now that's really important because chords that are 5 above another chord, they desperately want to resolve down to it. We can try it on our ukes. Grab your uke and just finger a G7 chord. This old chestnut, right? This one here. Well, when we play a G7, particularly when we play chords as sevenths, they have a real unresolved quality. So a G7 rather than a G major feels unresolved. Unresolved means it just kind of feels unsettled, like it wants to go somewhere. And a G7 wants to resolve to C. And we can do that all the way around the circle of fifths. If I play a D7, let's do it. 2, 0, 2, 0. Wants to resolve to a G. It's actually called a perfect cadence. It's because it feels like a perfect resolution, and we call it perfect fifth as well. An A7, you get it, wants to resolve to a D. Goes backwards around the circle of fifths like that. It's really interesting. If I play an A7 and instead of playing a D, I play a D7, I've got one unresolved chord to another. And the D7 wants to go backwards. So let's play, rather than a G that would feel settled, let's play a G7. And then finally, to resolve it, we can play a C. Now this song is really fascinating because the whole of Mr Sandman is basically a journey around the circle of fifths. I'll show you, I'll bring this screen up one more time. Give me just a second. Let's see if I can do this. Here we go. Let's bring the circle of fifths up one more time. I'll lift this up. Now the chords to Mr Sandman are as follows. We've got a B7, which comes from here, right? That is followed by an E7, which is followed by an A7. We've mucked about these chords. You'll see some variations of them later, but basically that's what we've got. Followed by a D7, followed by a G7, and then finally, at the end of the song, we finally resolve to a C major. And that's a classic kind of combination that happens in loads and loads of different songs. Super cool, right? We just go backwards around the circle of fifths. So why am I telling you this, right? Why all this long-winded theory? If you forget how this song goes and you know the circle of fifths, and I'd like you to learn it, then you'll be able to work out the song off by heart, which is a really great skill. So that's what we have in the basic chords. If we go back to our sheets, let's bring them back up on screen the normal way now. So I'll put them up here and we have a look at the chords, for instance. Don't worry about the introduction. I'll talk you through that in a minute. But if we look at the chords, oh, Mr. Sandman, we could play a C major or a C major 7 here. Mr Sandman. Then we go to a form of B7. Bring me a dream. Just like I said in the circle of fifths, we go to E7. Make it the sweetest, which makes you want to go to A7. You've ever seen. Makes you want to go to D7. Da da dee dee dee. Forgotten the words. Makes you want to go to G7. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. And finally we're back to C. So the whole of Mr Sandman is just backwards around the circle of fifths. Later on we'll talk about kind of what add 13 chords are and all these kind of fun things that we're adding in. And this arrangement is kind of interesting, I think. What I've tried to do is, rather than do a literal chord melody where we're playing every single melody note as it would be written as if you're singing, oh Mr Sandman, bring me a dream, I've just done little snippets of melody, like the last 3 notes of the first line. That represents your oh Mr. I've got Sandman. But for the next section, we're just playing in chords. But by dipping them, we get a feel. Bring me a dream. We get a feel of the melody coming through. Make it the sweetest. So what I'm doing is I'm altering chords to feature snippets of the melody, and that's a skill that hopefully you'll learn by the end of this workshop. Should be really, really interesting. So ask questions as you go along, because there's going to be little bits of theory and I want to make sure everyone's with me, and I'll show you how to play this really cool song. Let's have a look at the intro, okay, to start us off. So I'll deal with the high G first, and then I'll show you quickly how we can alter it to do the low G version. Basically what we have in the first bit, yeah, me too, Rita, it's such an upbeat song, isn't it? It's kind of, you can't help but smile when you're playing with this one, which is brilliant. Now I'll explain this note by note, so don't panic if you don't remember all this. But basically what we have is a picking pattern for this first part. Basically my fingers do an inside outside picking pattern, and then they come back again. And then I do the same on a G7. So what looks super complicated can actually be made a lot less complicated. What I'd like to do is, I'd like you in this introduction part to play any note that falls on the C string or the G string with your thumb. And the notes that fall on the E string and the A string, I want you mostly to use your index finger. Yeah, don't worry Amanda, no words on a printout. This is just instrumental. You could sing along with it though, so that's all right. So this first part, what we do is we put our second finger on the second fret of the A string. Now that gives you a C major 7th chord. If I strum down, that's a C major 7th chord. Not to be confused with a C major chord, which is your bog standard one. C major 7th has this lovely B note in it. Okay. Then what we do is with the thumb and the finger, I'll come in super close so you can see this. We tap C string, E string, G string, A string. The reason I call this an inside-outside pick is it makes it easier to remember if you think inside, outside, inside 2 strings, outside 2 strings. What we do then is we take our finger away from that A string, and it's like we've hit a trampoline. We do exactly what we just did in reverse. A, G, E, C. So it's kind of like inside, outside, backwards. A, G, E, C. Side, out, side, in. It's like it backwards. Let me do that slowly for you. Inside, outside, and then off. Outside, inside. Cool, right? Now, as you practice this through at home, I want you to go no faster than that. Get those notes really neat one at a time. Then, if you're feeling more confident, and then gradually, and you could test yourself, see if you can be super quick. Okay, no one's expecting you to do that straight away, don't worry. That's the point. I'm a real strong believer, it's a bit of a mantra of mine now, that if you can do something slow, you can do it quickly. You just need to practice it, right? So take it nice and slowly, be really, really patient with yourself, and you'll soon get it, okay? That's the first part. Now, after you've done that little run, you'll notice that at the end of the second measure, we also have a strum G7. I haven't physically done the little wiggly line, which means to strum in tablature, but anytime there's a chord, just take my word for it, we're strumming. When you put all those little arrows in, everything looks really busy and hard to read. All right, so now that makes this start bit our inside outside. Whoops, I put my finger in the wrong place. Help if I did that, wouldn't it? Then what we're going to do is we're going to finger a G7 chord, just like you would normally, but you're also going to put a little finger on this third fret of the A string. You could move your third finger up like this, but I find it more comfortable like this. And we do our inside outside. Then we take away this third finger and pick the A string. And finally, strum. So in slow motion, that's measure there, second measure, inside, outside, finger off, pick, strum. Let's put the first two measures together really slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and strum. Okay. Second and fourth measures are almost the same. We start with our little riff again. Only this time when we go to the G7, we still add our little finger look. But rather than this note, we just go straight to a G7. So the fourth measure, we just play that G7 afterwards. Now, don't worry about those three notes at the end. They belong to the next phrase, okay? So don't panic about those. We'll do those in a minute, that little 3, 3, 0, 0. Just ever so quickly as an aside, I'm just going to bring up the sheets with my pen. And just in case we've got any low G players, I'll do this quickly because otherwise all you high G players will just be waiting. If I was to do the low G version, there's only a couple of changes I need to make here. And it's basically any time there's a note on the C string, on the G string, what we need to do is we need to replace it by playing the third fret of the E string. Okay, so that one becomes a 3. This is just low G players, all right? That one becomes a 3. And that's because otherwise this note is too high. Okay, that becomes a 3. And you don't have to do it all the way through the song because it only happens on this first bit. All right, so if you want to just copy what I've done, that's what we end up. Whoops. Let's just get rid of that. Just see if there's one more along here. There is, yeah. And then finally this one here as well. Okay. So low G players, you need to alter your pattern and just add those 3s in. You'll notice it still creates quite a nice thing because you get these. You go from the C string to the A string and back down again. All right, so it's still a lovely pattern for you low G players. But just in case we've got any low G, I'll just put that up one more time. That's what you want to do. Just cross out those zeros and put 3. And don't panic, once you've got through the first 4 measures, low G players, everything else is the same. You don't need to make a single change after that. Okay. So if I was playing that, it would mean putting a finger on here after the first 2 notes. Playing the G there. Here it is. Okay, everything else is the same, so don't sweat it too much. You'll soon get the hang of it as we go. Okay then, guys. Let me just get rid of that. Fabulous. Now, let's have a look at the actual main part of the song then, which is where things start to get really fun. I mean, that's a cool riff in itself, isn't it? Anyway, it's really, really nice. Oh, thanks for this. It's cool, isn't it? Okay, so next we go to our chords. And before we do, we've got these cheeky 3 notes at the end of the first line. Now, this is really crucial. Don't panic about these. They come straight after the G7. That G, G, A, that's 3, 3 off. But you can kind of ham that intro up a bit and have a little gap after that G7. If I do measures 3 and 4, you can hang that G and then build up the anticipation. Gives you time to get ready, and then when you're ready, then we can start with the next section. I just thought I haven't actually had a play through this yet, have I? Shall I just have a quick play through so you can see how it looks and sounds when you put it all together? It's so quick, it'll only take a minute. I'll get this out of the way and I'll just do a quick one. Now, I like this played on a soprano uke, a little soprano, but I'm going to do it on this tenor because you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So. Oh, I've forgotten it. Hang on. I need my sheet music. I'm so sorry. I'll do that again. It's only quick. Whoops. There you go. Just a bit of fun. See, I go wrong sometimes. I thought I knew it off by heart, and it turns out I don't. So I had a quick glance at my sheet music so I can remember it. So you see, we've got that kind of introduction part. And don't worry, if you saw that and you thought, oh my goodness, that's really hard. Don't worry, I'm going to talk you through every single bit of it, and we're going to make it easy. That's the point. All right. And you can practice this to your heart's content. So don't worry if you don't get every single thing straight away. Let's have a look then. So when we go to these chords, I don't want you to obsess too much about the timing of them. I have drawn out the timing using the standard notation to help you, and I will talk you through it. But really, all we're doing is we're adding and taking away accents on the chords to make them more interesting. And as long as you get them roughly in the right place, that accent, it doesn't really matter about your strum pattern. I'll show you what I mean. For example, when I go to these first C chords, if I play it literally, we've got like that, right? But you could just strum up and down. 1 off, 2 and 3, 4, and then same with the next bit. 2, 3, 4. It doesn't really matter the specific kind of ups and down strums as we go, but I will show you them as we go. All right. So to kick us off, we've got that G, G, A, just the individual notes, 3, 3 off. Then what we do is we go to the C major 7th chord, 2nd fret of the bottom string, thanks everyone, 2nd fret of the A string, and we strum down, and then we take our finger away for the rest of the measure, gives us C6. Now, if you want to have a look at that measure and think in terms of the timing from there, if you think of all of the notes with an up stem, but no double flag, just a single flag, think they're quavers, but we could think of them as walks. What does he mean? I'll show you what I mean. Walk, walk. The next few, because they have the double flag, think of them as running. What do I mean? I'll show you. Running, running. Okay, a running is a down up. So walk, walk, running, running. Then the next half of the measure, we've got a walk, running, 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 right? So walk, running, running, running. So if you're being super anal, and it's fine, I like people being like that, it's absolutely fine. You don't have to, I'll show you an easier way in a minute. But if you're being super anal, you want to follow it literally, the timing would be walk, walk, running, running, walk, running, running, running. But does that matter? Not really. You can just strum up and down, as long as we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you just fill up the rest of the measure. All right, so you don't have to do this pattern. It's just like a suggested pattern, all right, to get you into the rhythm a bit. So that's the first bit. Let's do it really slowly. The 3, 3 off, and then we'll do those chords. 2, come in after, let's see, let's come in after 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3. Okay, notice you get the sound then of oh Mr Sandman, and the rest is just filling up the space. Okay. Hi John, good to see you, mate. You'll soon catch up, don't worry. Hopefully you got the sheets and you can catch up. So hope the dissertations went well as well. I bet that was intense. Okay, so next up we've got a B7. Now people don't like bar chords, but this one's not too bad because you haven't got to put your 2 fingers down like a B flat. We bar the whole of the 2nd fret with our 1st finger. Our 2nd finger comes up here to the 3rd fret of the C string. Okay. Now again, if you're into your walks and runnings, that would be walk, running, or down, down, up. Then what we do is a slide back to a B flat 7. Same thing. Oh, that's a bit squeaky, sorry. That's better. And back up again. And again, when we come back up, walk, running, running, running. So if you're into your timings, walk, running, walk, running, walk, running, running, running. But you don't have to match it exactly, as long as you've got B7, B flat 7, and then back up. 2, 3, 4. And again, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? I've been quite free with this. It's not matching the words exactly, but it gives the feel to it, doesn't it? Oh, Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. See? A dream. It's kind of matching what the vocals does without being a literal chord melody. That's what gives it its energy, which is really, really lovely. Then we're coming backwards round the circle of fifths, and next in the circle of fifths, as we discovered earlier, was an E, and we're going to do an E7. Ah, John, you got a good group. I bet that's a relief. Brilliant. Okay, so now we've got this E7, but what we're going to do is we're going to embellish it by adding a sharp 5. Whenever you see a sharp 5 in a piece of music, it will look something like this. Let's get rid of this for a second. Here it is. See this chord here, E7 sharp 5. Well, an E7 sharp 5 is an E7 with the 5th note from that chord sharpened. What does that mean? Well, all I do is if I count up from E, there's some sharps in the E major scale, but let's just ignore them. Let's just count up. E, F, G, A, B. B is the 5th note in an E, an E7. This finger here is your B note. So what we do to turn an E7 into an E7 sharp 5 is we sharp that note. We just play it a fret over. Turns it into a C, basically. Turns a B into a C. Another word for that is augmented. If you ever hear anyone say play an augmented chord, that's what they mean. a seventh chord, or any kind of chord actually, it doesn't have to be a seventh. Any augmented chord is a chord with the fifth note sharpened, and that's what we do there. And we use that sharpened note to create a kind of almost like a hint of what the vocals do again, a hint of the chords. Let's just bring it back up a second. So this one will look something like this. Again, don't sweat too much. Oh, what am I doing? Sorry. Don't sweat too much the timing of this. You can get really caught up in it. Just have a feel for it, okay? So what I do is I start with my finger on a normal E7, add my little finger on and off. Okay. Now if I'm doing that really, really slowly, I have off, on, off, on, off. Again, if you get sweat up on your downs and ups, that's going to really throw you. So you don't have to do your rhythm exactly the same as mine. You can just strum up and down. If I literally just strum up and down, off, on, off, on, off. So there we go. It gives you that kind of the sense of. Let me just do a bit before so to get me into Mr Sandman, bring me a dream. It's this bit here. Make it the sweetest that. See how it's matching the vocals? That's how this arrangement works. Really, really sweet, that is. Rita, you never know. You never know. Do you know what? I often do this, and it quite often shocks people. But I don't actually think I'm a natural ukulele player. And you might think, what? I want my £5 back. This is a guy that's meant to be teaching me ukulele. I think the reason, and I'm not going to blow my own trumpet, I don't think I'm an amazing teacher, but I think the reason I'm an okay teacher is because I never found any of this easy. I was a natural musician. I love playing guitar. I was naturally good at it. But when I transferred over to ukulele, this was talking like 20, 25 years ago now, I found it really, really difficult. I didn't find it natural at all, and I picked up loads of bad habits. For instance, putting my uke like this instead of this. We want to play on a 45-degree angle. I go over all this stuff in my beginner's course if it's new. But yeah, 45-degree angle works. And I had to teach myself, I had to work really hard at my bad habits and kind of iron them out and make my playing a bit better. And I found it really hard. But because I found it hard, I had to work out the best ways of doing everything, because there weren't lots of YouTube teachers back then. What I'm getting at is, go easy on yourself, all right? It doesn't come naturally to everyone, and it doesn't come naturally to me. But the reason I'm able to play that to the ability that I am, I'm not saying it's, you know, amazing or anything, it's just because I've really paid attention to all these habits and corrected them, and I take my time and I want to share it all with you. That's basically all it is. I want to share you the easiest way of doing stuff so you don't struggle. So anything you really, really struggle with, just let me know. But also thank you. That's a really kind thing to say. I know you meant it super kindly, Rita, so I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you. Oh, thanks, Esther. Okay then. So that's your E7 bit. I'll just do that bit again, just because I went a bit off track. I like going off track, it's all good. But we do E7, add your little finger down, bring it off, add it on, take it off. Okay, there we go. Now then, next up we have another type of augmented chord. A7 sharp 5 stands for A7 augmented. And we just learned that to augment a chord, we play the fifth note and sharpen it. Let's count up from A this time, because it's a type of A chord. A, B, C, D, E, right? So the E note is the fifth note in that chord. Let's see if we can find the E note in the chord. It's not this note, that's an A. It's not this note, that's a C sharp. It's not this note, that's another A. That when I said that's an A, I said that I meant it's a G, didn't I? I went a bit daft at the start there, but you get the idea. This one is an E, so we sharpen it by playing a finger one to the right of the open E, which means first fret. And it's that simple. This is one of my all-time favourite chords in A7 augmented. I just love the way it hangs. It's really, really beautiful. Oh, you're making me all embarrassed now. Everyone's giving me nice comments. Thank you, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, you guys are amazing. Thank you. I think that's really thoughtful. Really cool. So there's your A7 augmented fifth, or A7 augmented for short. And what we do for that one is we just play it for half a measure. Then we take away this finger to turn it into a normal A7. Again, if you want to be super anal about the rhythm there, we have walk, running, walk, walk, running, 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 running. Okay? So that's quite a lot to take in, isn't it? So what I want to do before we do the bottom line of this page, I want to go right back to the start and I want to piece everything together that we've done so far really, really slowly. If you go wrong, it doesn't matter diddly squat. I'll probably go wrong because I do all the time. And let's give it our best shot. I'll come over here a little bit so you can see my thumb when I'm doing this intro. All right, I'm going to go super slow motion. So this is just to learn it, okay? So don't worry if it sounds super slow at first. Let's give it a go. 3 and 4 and. G7, we do it again. G7. Okay, then our 3-3 off. Then C major 7. Walk, walk, running, running, walk, running, running, running. B7. Walk, running, back, and walk, running, running, running. E7. Walk, running, walk, walk, running, running, running. Good. A7. Walk, running, walk, walk, running, 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 running. There you go. Don't worry if you didn't get that perfect first time. Some tricky little bits in there, but just really appreciate how just adding those little notes in and everything. Oh, thanks, James. Thank you. I actually am going red now. At school, whenever I get embarrassed at school, they used to call me Beetroot, and it still happens to me now. I go bright red when I get embarrassed. I'm blaming my webcam as well. It always makes me look a bit like a tomato. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. It's lovely, lovely things to say. So what we do is we carry on that process. There's more exciting stuff to come, don't worry, but we carry on that process for now. Now we've got these chords, D7 add 13. So on your sheets, I did on your back sheets, again, if you haven't downloaded these yet, you can always do it afterwards. If you can't afford the sheets, there's £5 versions or £8 if you want to give a tip to help anyone that can't afford them. If you can't afford them, just send me an email. Please don't be shy. All right, I've been there actually when I've been learning with other people, so it's absolutely totally fine. All right, so just let me know and I'll send them to you for free. Anyway, this is your last sheet, okay, and this one explains what an add 9 and an add 13 chord is. Now, if we think of a chord as most chords are 3 notes, so like when we play, say, a C chord, bog standard C chord, the notes that make up a C chord are C, E, G, and then because we have 4 strings on a ukulele, we have to repeat one. We play another C. So a C chord is just C, E, G, and another C. And we call that the major triad because that's the first, third, and fifth notes in the key of C. C, E, F, G. All right, that's what most chords are made up of. 7th chords, whenever we play a bog standard 7th chord, like a C7, we also add the flatted 7th of the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and we play that as a B flat. And that makes sense because this note here on your ukulele is a B flat. So a C7 chord, C, E, G, B flat. Okay, and we call that a dominant 7th chord. Well, when we have chords that are, say, are added, so like a C add 13, it's basically that chord, but we've also added the 13th note of the scale. In fact, a C add 13 doesn't even have the flat 7. A C13 does, but a C add 13 doesn't. Because the difference between a C add 13 and a C13 is the 13 has the flatted 7th in. If that's like, don't worry, don't sweat it. Honestly, just enjoy it. All right, don't sweat it. So what the heck is the 13th note of a scale? Well, again, I'll bring it up in big on my iPad. If I just quickly drop down here, it's all useful to know this stuff because it helps you with your playing. You'll see why later on. So a C chord, a normal C chord, let me just bring my pen up, is C, E and G. That's a C major chord. Now to add a 13th, what we do is we just add the 13th note of the scale. And you might think, but there are only 7 notes in the scale, right? A C major scale goes 1 to 7 like this. But what we do, if you imagine you've got a piano, you can do this easy on a piano, but we go higher. Instead of going 1 to 7 again, we just count the next few notes as 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And that's basically what we're doing. So a C add 13 is a C major chord, which is this, with the 13th note added. Again, you don't have to know all that stuff. I just find it fascinating and I just wanted to share that with you. All right, but that's all it is. If you ever see a note that says C add 13 or an add 13 chord, that's what it is. I think in this case we've got, let me go back to the sheet music. I think it's a D add 13, isn't it? Let me just check. Go, whoops. Let's have a look. There it is, yeah. Oh, it's a D7 add 13, so that just means a D7 chord with the 13th note of the scale added. The 13th note of the D major scale is a B. Now, again, you don't need to know that. All you need to know to do it is you take a D7 chord and you add this B note here. Simple as that. The reason we call it a 13th, you could think of like a 13th is the same as the 6th, but on a piano we play it a little bit higher. All right, but we just add a D7 and we add that note in. And again, you can think of the rhythm, you could be really literal about it. We have off, on, off. All right, the easiest way for this bit is just to strum up and down and count off, on, off, on, off. Okay, you don't have to be exact. Okay. And again, if you're not sure about that, if you think, oh my goodness, I can't remember when to add it, you can sing the song in your head. If I go from the start again, you'll see when to add the little bits. Oh, Mr Sandman. Nothing needs adding there, does it? Bring me a dream. Make it, there's the added, the sweetest I've ever seen. Can't remember the next words, but it's something like roll it in clover. So if you know the words or the rhythm, the melody, da dee 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 da dee da, you can guide that to when your fingers come on and off. What I'm getting at is basically don't sweat it too much. Yeah, Peter, that's what I was hinting at, but I was a bit scared of going down the rabbit hole. The reason it's called the 13th rather than the 6th, because the 13th is the same as the 6th of the scale below, is just because it's the higher note. On piano, you would always stretch up to the higher note. You'd go right across to the 13th note. On uke, we quite often actually play the 6th, but we still call it the 13th to make it easier. But yeah, that's it. You will be an octave higher, basically. So that's your D7 and adding that 13, not too bad. The next chord comes from, well, we start off with a bog standard G7. Then we go up to this really cool G7 up here. Now this chord, this is a classic Formby trick. If I do it quick, it's kind of two different versions of the same chords, and Formby used to do this stuff all the time. George Formby is famous for this. Roy Smeck as well used to do this chord change all the time. What is happening is we're doing this G7 chord here, but we're simplifying it. What is this G7 chord? Let me show you. If I was to play an F chord, F major like this, just a bog standard F chord, if I put down my third finger on this C string here, this third fret of the C string, that creates an F7. I can also add this little finger here to create an F7 with this high C. That's how I like to play an F7. If we take that exact shape to higher, don't sweat this because it's easier in a minute, you'll see guys, like this is a G7 because we've gone F7, F sharp, G7. You could take that shape up the fretboard to become a G sharp 7 and an A7. You can take any shape up that you use all four strings on like that. Now, because a G chord has a G note in it, it has to, doesn't it? Because that's what it's named after, it has a G note in it. We could take this finger away. This works on low G as well, guys. Take that finger away and it still works because this is a G note, which is in a G7. Okay, so rather than this hard chord, which is four finger like this, it becomes like this. Now I can make it even easier because I can, rather than using these two fingers, which is quite hard, I can take my G7 here and all I do is I move it up and split it apart. Can you see how I've done that? G7, G7 up the fretboard. Really neat trick to have if you're ever playing a song which has a G7 for quite some while. 5'2", eyes are blue, but oh what those 5 can do. Has anybody seen my girl? Seen my girl? You can use the trick. You can use it on any chord which has a G7. So we do a normal G7 for 4, and then we move it up for 2, back for 2. Oh, thanks, Esther. Esther's given me the words so you can see how it works. I'll go slowly just so you can hear. Oh, Mr Sandman, I'm so alone. Don't have nobody to call my own, etc, etc. So you can see how it's kind of hinting at the words without being an exact copy. All right, so that's that bit we've just done. Sorry, just wanted to show you how it worked with the words. You don't have to sing it. I like it as a solo without. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, okay, we're nearly done with the first section, and believe it or not, there's a lot of repetition in the next section, so we're kind of over halfway already, actually, quite way over halfway, believe it or not. Next page, we just go back to the C chord. We've gone all the way around the circle of fifths now, and we're finally back to our C major, which is where it rests, but not for very long, just rests for a little bit. Now this bit, you'll notice we're playing from the 3rd fret, and then we're going up to the 5th fret. Again, just following that rough rules. Off, on, off, on, off. Okay. Now notice that I reset my fingers here. Rather than reaching up with your little finger with your pinky, which can be quite a bit awkward, I find that a really uncomfortable stretch because I've only got small hands. I actually prefer to just put my index finger down here and then reach up with my 3rd finger. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Give him to can't quite remember that bit, but that's it. And then finally we're going to do, this is probably the hardest bit of the song, this next bit. I'll bring it down so everyone can see it. This D9 to a G7, quite a tricky one. There's 2 ways you can tackle this D9. The first is to bar the whole of the 5th fret and then put your second finger here on the 6th fret of the C string. Basically, in effect, what we've done is we've taken an A7 chord, our finger's taken the place of the nut, and we've taken it up to A sharp 7, which is also known as B flat 7, B7, C7, C sharp 7, D7. And then to turn any 7th chord into a 9th, we just add a finger down here in this shape because it's 2 to the right of the root, D becomes E. Don't sweat the theory of that, but just know to turn this 7th shape into a 9th. We just put that finger down there. To turn an A7 into an A9, just put a finger down there, all right? So that would be one way of playing that D9 chord. It's a tricky one. Now, I actually prefer to play this chord like this. What I do, and you can actually physically do this with me now, guys, is just try playing a normal G major, like you're just going to strum a G chord. Take that shape up to the top 3 strings, just move it up towards your nose. And we're going to do that shape at the 5th and 6th frets. Okay, so it's like a G moved up at the 5th and 6th frets. And then your pinky, your little finger, comes down on the 7th fret here. Okay, so 5th and 6th, 7th fret here. The reason I like this one, it takes a lot of time to build up the practice, okay? You can kind of take your time to really just, I always think get the little finger in first and then just think G shape. Okay. And you'll get that. Looks really intimidating, but once you've got the hang of it, it's not too bad, right? The reason I like this 4-finger chord is I love it when I change chords if I can use a finger to take me there. So when I go to the G7 that follows, I take these 3 off and move this back to the 5th fret, and then I basically put an F7 shape over the top. You know how you can play an F7 like this? It's like an F chord with this finger added. That's an F7 shape. That's what I'm doing here. Little finger on the 5th fret, F7 shape over the top. That makes those 2 chords so much easier because we think finger there and G shape, and then we think finger here, F7 shape. So practice that slowly at home. You can practice that change. Seventh fret G shape, 5th fret F7 shape. Okay. Now we're really far through the song now. You might not think it because you've got all of the rest of that page, but the next 2 lines are exactly identical to what we've already played. So again, let's go right back to the start. Let's take it like crazy, crazy slow. We'll go for each measure at a time and let's see if we can put together what we've got so far. Don't be discouraged if this is a bit overwhelming. As long as you understand all the processes that I've taught so far, that's all that matters, right? If you understand a little bit of the theory, it's useful, but you can take this and you can work on it in super slow motion and then gradually bring that tempo up to speed and you'll be fine. Let's give it a go then, guys. Let's put it together from the start. So, oops, it's okay. Just need to go back to the first page. Here we go. All right, and I pause in the middle anyway because I need to flip the page so everyone can see it. If anyone's following along on screen, then it allows me to do it. I'll come in on close cam again as well. All right, there we go. Let's have a look. So here we go. So nice and slow. If I bring my thumb over here, there we go. You can see what I'm doing at the start. So introduction part, 3 and 4 and back again, inside outside on G7, strum in G7, then we go again, second finger down here, inside outside, off and back again, G7 shape, 3, strum and pause, then we're going to hit 3-3 off, C major 7 and off, D7, drop, back, good, E7, add the finger, on and off, double A7 for the augmented, take away your second finger, really good. Just a Hawaiian D7, add the finger to the A string, good, G7, take it up and back, and we're going to pause there so I can flip the pages. There we go, and then we come up here to 3, to 5, and then the hardest bit of all, we're going to come up here, 7th with a G shape, 5 with an F7 shape. Let's keep going because the next bit's the same as the start. C major 7, off, B7, pull it back, move it forward, E7, add the little finger, and then bring it back to this A7, fingers off. Okay, and I'll show you the next bit in a second. Let us know how you got on with that, guys. I know it's super tough, but I'd be just interested to see if you're managing that or anything you're stuck with that I can help with. I'm really, really glad to help. And I've got a couple of questions, so I'll just deal with those in a second. Give me a minute. There we go. Karen, yeah, that would have been an idea. We could have made them bigger thinking about it. I quite often do a separate chord sheet, don't I, of these things, but I hadn't thought about it because I've got them on the actual page. I haven't thought about doing a separate one. So yeah, maybe in the future I'll include a second one that you can copy along. What you could do if you've got your own version is bring it up on your computer screen and just take it measure by measure. You can always really, you know, I'm going real crazy big there, but you can enlarge it so you can see the chord diagrams as you go, or copy them out if you're feeling very studious. But I kind of like them on the sheet music because it helps me to just follow them along like that. And between you and us, guys, this is going to be in a future book that I'm going to release, and I have to write it this way for the publishers. All right. So this hopefully is going to be in one of my books. Not the one that's coming out soon, because that's going to be original ukulele pieces. We're just waiting to see what happens with that one in the next couple of weeks. It's all finished, but that will be available soon. So yeah, the chord diagrams are really useful, aren't they? Some people like the tab better, but it's interesting, isn't it? Different people are different. I'm quite a visual learner, so I like the chord diagrams with the dots. It helps me to visualize it. So yeah, if you're following it on screen, it's probably particularly small at the moment. So just follow my fingers if you're not sure, and you can always enlarge the one afterwards. So yeah, cool. Fantastic. Let's have a look. Okay. Yeah, you can always slow it down though, Amanda. Don't worry if it feels a little bit fast on those chords. Keep it really, really nice and slow. Just take each one at a time, and you'll soon piece it together. Slow but good is great, Lisa. That's the way to do it. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Fantastic. Thanks, Phyllis. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, quite handy that change, isn't it? Keeping that little finger on. I'm a big believer in kind of playing legato style whilst you keep that little finger as you go up and down. So the other thing that's nice about this one, guys, is there's so much repetition. So like I say, when you get to that second page, measures, where are we, 13 through to measure 17, I think it is, pretty much the same as what you've got, which is great. So yeah, cool. Just got a question from Esther. Is there a reason we're not sliding 3 to 5 and back again in 11? Let me check that out. Have a look. Measure 11. Oh, that bit. Yeah. You could, Esther. Yeah, you could slide up. You could do to keep it legato, but I just think keep it simple, really. You've just got that. So that's the way to think about it. Just nice and simple. Keep everything as slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. Now this next bit, right, is my favourite bit in the whole song. I absolutely love this next bit. Here we go. If I bring this up, yeah. Of course, the other idea, if you're struggling with any of these chord shapes, is to have a book next to you. You could use my theory book or something with them all written out, and just go at them gradually. Okay, right now here's my favourite bit of the whole song. This lovely. I just love that. It's just so cool sounding, really neat, and it's actually a lot easier than it looks. Okay, so what we do is we hold down a D minor shape, you know, just bog standard D minor, like an F chord with this note added. The important thing really is thinking about this this right hand, or if you're left-handed, right-handed left. Oh, I'm getting in a muddle. This hand. Whichever hand you're using to pick the notes. What I want you to do is I want you to pick up with the first finger of that hand. So you're picking up. Now notice that the chord that follows is just 3 strings on the tablature, that 2-2-1. All right, let me bring it up big and I'll show you what I'm on about so you can see it. Where are we? There it is. Okay, let me just bring it on screen a second. So this one, these chords here, look. Now these chords here, this is something that a lot of arrangers do. James Hill does this as well, which is probably where I've picked up the habit from. Really, it's just a nail brush. I'll show you what that means in a minute. Now, you don't have to take this literally. It doesn't mean you really have to be strict about only strumming 3 strings with these. Just the fact that only the top 3 strings are highlighted is a bit of a hint on the arranger's part, in this case me, that he just wants you to do very light down strums. So for this section, rather than doing kind of a big down strum over all 4 strings, we just pick up and then we do a light down strum. If you accidentally strum all 4 strings, doesn't matter one jot, it'll still sound great. All right, if you only strum 2 strings at the top, that's fine too, because basically what you're doing is you're creating a sense of rhythm like that. So all it means is hit it light. Now, if you've got your finger on the D minor chord, your fingers are in the right place to hit these melody notes. We hit the 2, the 2nd string, 2nd fret, it's taken by that finger, strum down. Pick up on the E string, your finger's in the right place for the 1, it's this one here. Open A, if you shouldn't have a finger on the A string, that gives you. So that first bit, just literally finger a D minor, and we pick C string, E string, A string, and then finally little finger comes down here to the 3rd fret of the A string. That's creating a D minor 7 chord, and we finish with another one of those picks. Okay, so normal D minor, C string, E string, A string, add the 3. And then again, we're going to use a similar trick to what I did earlier to get to this chord, this lovely diminished chord. Again, just use the trick I was thinking of earlier. If you take your little finger up, I'll do that again. If you take this little finger up to the 5th fret, to build that diminished chord, all you need to do is put a G shape on top of it. Okay? So we've led with our little finger up and added a G shape. We just strum that a few times. All right, let's take that really, really slowly and we'll do that all together. I'll bring the, just in case anyone is still following this on the screen, I'll just bring it up just in case. There we go, rather than on their own worksheets. Which is absolutely fine, just so you can see it. There we go, here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and pick, strum, pick, strum, pick, strum, pick, strum, pick, strum, strummy, 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 strummy. one more time. 3 and 4 and. You got it? Yeah, really cool. Again, bit of practice, you'll get that, no problem. Now leave your fingers where they are for this chord. If you took them off, don't worry, stick them back on again. So 5th fret, G shape over the top. This is a G7 flat 9. A flat 9 chord is the same shape as a G, is the same shape as a diminished 7. Don't worry about why now. It's like this chord where no fingers can be C6 or A minor 7. All diminished 7th chords can also be called 7 flat 9 chords, and that's where that's what that chord is acting as. It's acting as a dominant chord with the flatted 9th. Don't sweat the theory, that's too much to teach in this lesson. But just in case, sometimes you'll see on arrangements that's called a diminished 7th chord, but in the context of this song, it's not, all right? So if you ever see that on someone else's arrangement of this, they got it wrong, and that's all right. It's okay to get things wrong. But anyway, that's what it is. And from there, what we're going to do, just follow my fingers really carefully. Again, hopefully this is a really big learning point from today, leading with that little finger. To get back to that D9 chord, I can either lead with my finger and then drag these over. It's that one we were doing earlier, isn't it, with this G shape here. Or what I tend to do is, from this chord, I just take it up a fret and squeeze my little finger out. Then I go back to that G7 shape, move back, add an F7 over the top. And then finally what we do is move that little finger out to that 7th fret. And then for the C, rather than dragging your little finger way back there when you're up here, it's easier just to drop down and do your C like that. So if I do that bottom line really slowly, it starts with this chord shape. Then I move it up, move my little finger out. Back and add the F7 shape. Little finger out. And then I finish to the C. Okay, so that gives me... You notice that that last chord, if we're really super anal, it has a dot over it. I wanted to show you this quickly because it's another cool little bit of learning. See this chord here, that C at the end. Can you see this little dot here? That dot there is a mark that tells you to play it staccato. If you ever see that dot over a chord, that's what it means. It means staccato. You can normally spot staccato because it will have a rest after it, which shows you that the chord has been cut short. I'll physically show you how to do a staccato in a minute. If you ever see a dot here, that's just a dotted note, which means you play it 1.5 times the length. But if it's up here, like this dot here, it means staccato. All right. So that means that last measure, after you've gone back to your C, walk, walk, running, running, walk. The last one you're going to hit quite short and sharp, and then mute the strings. 2 ways you can mute the strings. You can either use this hand, which is what I like to do, where we strum, and then just touch the strings. Don't push. If you push, you'll get this, which sounds horrible. So just touch feather light with these hands, and it kills the chord. The other way is quite simply, after you strummed, just flatten your palm against the strings. Again, try not to kind of squeeze it so it makes a noise, just nice and light. Any touch will do. All right, so after you've done that last bit, just make that last chord kind of just a nice way to end a song, isn't it? That really kind of abrupt, kind of exciting ending. Let's piece that together from the D minor bit. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to measure. Which measure is it? Measure 17. You can always spot the measure numbers. If you look on the left hand side of all the lines, there's a number that gives you the measure number, and then you can count across. So you'll see the third line down, there's a 15 at the start, so it means the next one across is 16 and the one at the end is 17, and we're looking at that measure 17. All right, so I'll play it right from the end. Okay, right. I'll play it right from that D minor to the end, and then you can copy back so you can see it and hear it. So. Okay, let's give that a go all together. I'm going to slow that down when we do it together. Follow me on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Up, little finger out. Back to G7. Finger out. And C. Yeah, good. Okay, nice. Yeah, Karen, it's really easy to miss that, isn't it? That staccato. You kind of think of something for a music symbol that represents something that's like kapow. It kind of feels a bit minimal, doesn't it? Just a little tiny full stop. But yeah, that's it. That's why I think it's always good to see if you can spot those little rests afterwards. It's kind of a giveaway of a staccato. So yeah, that's what you've got going on there. Now, whew, we've done it. We've done the whole piece. What I think we should try doing is taking it right back to the start and piece the whole thing together. Then I'm going to stay on screen for the last quarter of an hour. I'm going to show you one more little thing just for fun as like a little bonus at the end. And I'll be here for any questions as well. But let's see if we can do it right from the start. I'll have to pause midway through because I have to flip the screen for anyone that's following it on screen. Let's see if we can go right from the start to the end really slow. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Is that B7? Dip it and back. E7. A7 with the finger added. Lift off. D7. Add the finger. G7. Take it up and back. And pause whilst I flip the page. It's going to drive some of you mad. Sorry, guys. And then up to 3. Hardest bit here. D9. Back to G. 7. Then back to this one. B7. Dip it. Bring it back. E7. A7 the finger added, take it off, D7, oh no it's not, sorry, that's our D minor bit, I was reading comments and not concentrating, sorry, 2, 3, 4. There you go, guys. Well done. Let us know how you got on. Really tricky, right? Esther's just asked if I can do a little playthrough at speed again. So I'll do that for you. And see if you can spot a little technique that I'm going to do with this one. And I'll teach it to you very quickly as a little bonus at the end. All right. So let me do a fast one. You can have a go at playing along if you're feeling super brave. If not, just have a listen. I'll take this off though, because then we've got one where you can see what's happening. There we go. There you go. You could even go crazy. It could be really fast, but that's a really nice tempo to do it at, I think, which is lovely. Now, I was doing just a little kind of a bit of a showy off thing there, and I just wanted to show you at the end where occasionally when I was doing the chords, you notice this little thumb comes up and you get this extra strum, which can be really nice. It's basically a triplet. And what you can do is you can drop that in at any point in the song. It's called a drop thumb triplet because when you do it, the only difference that people see when you're playing, see if you can spot it. There's one, there's another one. The only thing that the audience or person viewing is, they see a thumb coming down. That's what's called the drop thumb triplet. But they hear 3 strums in a space that you'd normally have 1 instead of. Okay. And what we can do for that one is just a really, really simple triplet. I'll go dead slowly. Let's just do it. Let's just chuck it. So mute the strings with this hand. And all I want you to do is follow this 1 step at a time. I want you to come down with the nails of your strumming hand. Now the key thing is you do that, keep this thumb up here so it's standing tall. Don't let it drop down like this, because we don't want 2 movements like this. We're going to aim for 1 movement of fingers, thumb, triple, fingers, thumb. Notice really I'm unfolding my hand rather than a down strum. It's like an unfold, thumb, unfold, thumb, unfold, thumb, unfold, thumb. And then I follow that with an up strum, and I just use the pad of my finger very lightly. Doesn't even really strum all 4 strings, just touches the bottom 1 or 2 strings. So I have unfold, thumb, up, triplet, triplet, unfold, up, unfold, thumb, up. Okay. Now, if I practice that slowly, I could do that, say on a C chord. Let's practice it as down, down, triple it down, 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 triple it down. Let's slow that down. Down, down, triple it down. Again, down, down, triple it down. So basically you're replacing one of the downs with a triplet, or one of the down ups rather, I should say, with a triplet. So instead of on one of the strums we have, and that's why it's called a drop thumb triplet. The only difference is we touch with that thumb. And you can put it at any point in the song. If I've just done this, that first bit, Sandman, I can just drop that thumb in at any point in that strum. Oh, Mr Sandman. See it there? If I do that slowly. Oh, Mr Sandman. Down, triple it down, down. And you can just introduce that, just a little bit of fun. We call it a drop thumb triplet. And you can always see when a player's doing it, because you'll just see that little thumb go up and down. Again, that's a real Formby-esque thing. When I'm cleaning windows, he used to do it all the time on his stuff. So there you go, there you go. Okay then guys, I'm going to pause there. Well, I'm going to stop there for today. I hope you really enjoyed that, and I hope you really enjoyed the piece of music, because I think it's a fantastic composition. It's really beautiful, isn't it? And it's one of my favourites. When I started playing ukulele, my first ukulele was a little soprano. Wasn't anything as fancy as this. This is a Martin soprano. It's a little mahalo. In fact, actually, do you want to see my first ukulele? This was my first ukulele. So if anyone says that you have to have a fancy pants ukulele to start on, that was my first one. And I used to use it for story time in my local library. That's why it has an I Love Library sticker on. So that was my very first ukulele, that one. And it still plays. It's covered in dust. But it sounds great on these little sopranos. And those drop thumb triplets, they sound really lovely. So you get that. What's the next bit? My uke's disappearing. There you go. So it sounds great on that. And drop thumb triplets sound really fantastic on a soprano. They're used in a lot of things. That's my when I'm cleaning windows ukulele, that one. So fantastic. Well, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. As I say, really lovely arrangement to play. One of the first ones I started when I used to play a soprano ukulele, and that's why I love the sound of it on a soprano. We'll be back in another 2 weeks for another live lesson where I'll go through another piece of music. I haven't decided what it is yet. I promised a couple of weeks ago that I'd do something with harmonics in, and then I forgot to do it. So we'll have a look at that. You could actually do it with this one, but it's quite tricky. You kind of have to... No, you'd have to... Yeah. Something like that. What would we have next? Oh yeah, it starts there, doesn't it? I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I was gonna teach you a bit with kind of how to do these nice harmonics, which can sound really lovely on a ukulele. But then for some reason I was listening to the radio and my daughter's got obsessed with Meghan Trainor. You know, the one that did It's All About the Bass, No Treble. That one, she loves her. And I think she's quite a cool pop artist. I think she's great, actually. But she's got this song out at the moment which has the intro of Mr Sandman. Do 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 do. Then it goes to these really annoying lyrics. I am your mother, you listen to me. If you listen to Radio 2, you've probably heard that song non-stop over last month. And I didn't like Meghan Trainor's weird new version, but it made me think, what a cracker, we've got to do that. So that's why I did Mr Sandman. So sometimes things just come out of the ether. But I have to think about what to do. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and I'll probably have sheets next week for the week after. And remember, away for Canacapila this Monday coming as well, but we'll be back the week after that as well. So, oh, no worries, Karen. You'll get it. You'll pick it up as you go. So, yeah, fantastic. Ah, yeah, 12th Street Rag sounds great on soprano ukulele. I'll see if I can remember it. 12th Street Rag. Hang on. Let me see. I'll have to come into this one because otherwise my ukulele will disappear. Something like... Something like that. I can't remember it. I used to be able to play that one so well. I used to love it. You could do all the all that stuff on it. Oh, I love sopranos. They're just so much fun. I love them to bits. I don't play enough soprano anymore. I've just got so used to doing tenor. The main reason is it's so much easier to show people stuff on the tenor, because on a soprano everything's so squeezed up, and it puts it just here for the recording, which is great. But yeah, I need to play more soprano. I'm a bit out of practice. You could probably tell. So yeah. So, gotcha. Oh, well done, Amanda. That's brilliant. That's it. Slow and steady wins the race. Absolutely. That's the way. And I really believe that with everything. Take things slow. Be patient with yourself, and you will definitely get it. So yeah. Oh, well done, Phyllis. That's absolutely brilliant. It's all about those little wins, isn't it? You know, it's some of these things are really tricky, but if you can get a little win, and I always say this is really important. It always sounds like a cop out, but it is really true. Sometimes when you do an hour and a half, 2 hour workshop like this, sometimes it's only one little thing that you remember, whether it be that drop thumb triplet, whether it be using that pinky to lead you between chords. Just picking up one little thing like that in each new workshop is amazing. So don't feel you have to get everything. It's all kind of a learning process, isn't it? And it took me a while as well. So yeah. I'll see if I can do those harmonics again, John. I'm determined to work it out now. When you do harmonics, what you need to do with one hand harmonics is you have to match whatever you do down here, up here. So when I do the start of this song and I play my second fret here, have to do a harmonic 2 up, and I have to remember that. So start would be, and then it's here, isn't it? Yeah. No. That's it. And then I have to kind of outline a G7 chord starting from here, isn't it? That's it. Whoops, do that again. Whoops. See, I need to work on that. But isn't it pretty when you get that? That lovely. I always think they always sound really angelic. It sounds like a little angel playing ukulele when you get harmonics. They're just really beautiful. Like a little glockenspiel or something. I just think is really lovely. There we go. Bum bum bum. Question off Karen. Low G. The nut isn't deep enough. So Karen's got a low G ukulele, but the nut isn't cut deep enough for the low G string. That's a tough question, Karen. You could do it yourself. What I tend to, you can get some nut files off Amazon, some little pocket nut files which come in. They're almost like the thickness of ukulele strings, like a thin bit of wire, and you can cut it a little deeper with that. What you can do as well is, if it's an unwound low G string, if you replace it with a wound low G, like an Aquila wound low G or Fremont Soloist wound low G, you'll probably find that might sit in the nut slot a little bit better. But yeah, be really gentle. If you're not sure, you could take it to a luthier, but I think if you're really careful, just filed out a little bit. Another way to do it is if you haven't got nut files, and as long as you're really careful and you don't go mad, if you fold a little bit of sandpaper in half, so you've just got the rough edge, and then just very gently pass it through the nut slot. You only need to a tiny bit of time. That would probably be fine actually. And then just pop the string in. If it needs to go a bit deeper, lift it out. Another couple of passes, and don't go wild like this. Just really gentle. Pop the string back in. You'll probably find you can do it that way, and then you'll get it to sit low. You've got to be a bit careful not to take it too low with a low GU, Karen. I know you want it to sit in the nut, that is important, you are right. But if you take it too low, because it's quite a low tension string, the low G string, it needs to be relatively high to prevent buzzing. If you take it the nut slot too deep, then you'll get some buzzing, which then it's kind of like having another problem, isn't it? But definitely doable. So yeah, so. Some other people have come up with this with a similar thing as well. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people get a bit nervous about stuff like that. The sandpaper one's good though, because it's really it's not like hard metal files. They can take quite a lot out quite quickly, but if you use sandpaper, even though it's quite abrasive, the sand wears off, so you're not going to take out so much so quickly. So if you're just really gentle, I reckon you'd be all right with that one. So yeah, just go slow and steady wins the race. A new nut isn't the worst thing in the world. You might have to take it to a luthier or get one set. So, you know, it is quite an easy thing to replace if you do go wrong. But just try and be careful. Go a little bit at a time and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay, guys. Just going to see if there's any more questions. Any more. Otherwise, I shall leave you all to it. Don't forget, all of our previous live lessons over here, matsteadukulele.com, and they're all listed in sequential order so you can follow them free. And also here I've got my free courses, my beginners ukulele, intermediate ukulele, next steps ukulele, uke theory if you enjoyed the theory side, and playing at the dusty end as well. They're all on there so you can work your way through those. New lessons added all the time as well. If you like this video, if you could actually like the actual YouTube video rather than just on the live comments, it really helps because it helps the algorithms to pick it up. And likewise, if you have time later on, if you're able to comment on the actual video itself in the comments, that really helps with the algorithms. Don't forget to subscribe as well so that you get a notification when these live events are happening, because sometimes for whatever reason, like the Canopilas, I miss one, you'll get a notification when the next one's happening, so you can join in. You can even follow the countdown right down to 0, so that's good. So yeah, Karen, try a wound string first, absolutely. I actually prefer the sound of a wound low G anyway. I think it's a bit more balanced than an unwound low G. The ones I like, I'm just seeing if I've got them in my drawer. Yeah, I actually like the Aquilas. Every Aquila has a code, and this one, the code is 16U, single 4 for a tenor low G. You might think, but I've got a concert ukulele. They do one for a concert ukulele, but it's exactly the same string cut shorter. It's not a different thickness. So all Aquila wound strings for the low G, no matter whether they say concert or tenor, they are actually the same string. It's just the tenors are a bit longer. So that's the one I recommend. I really like those. A lot of people swear by Fremont soloists, but these ones last a lot longer. They don't tarnish as quickly, so they're my favourites. I would send you one, Karen, but I've only got one left, and it's my one. Otherwise, I'll send you one. This is my little drawer of goodies where I keep all my string sets, things like this. So there's always something in here. And yeah, all sorts of bits and bobs. Okay, right then, guys. Oh, hang on. I haven't, Peter. I need to nag Sarah. They were going to make me some straps as well, but I think we've all just been so busy with everything. But yeah. If not, I won't be offended, Peter. I think you can probably get them from Southern Ukulele Store if we don't get any in for a while. There might be some there. But yeah, sorry, still not had anything through yet. But I do keep nagging. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, or hopefully before then for a can of Capilla if you can join me. Thank you so much for all your support. Thanks for all your donations these last couple of weeks, and thanks for turning up every session. It's massively appreciated, and it keeps a smile on my face and it keeps me going. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your lovely comments as well. I won't say why, but I really needed that earlier, so thank you. It's really, really appreciated. I have the best students in the world. I genuinely believe that. So thank you for being absolutely amazing. And I will see you very, very soon for some more ukulele fun. Take care, everyone. Bye.